Sharks, the ocean's most feared predators, exhibit unmatched power and precision. Great white sharks strike with stealth and force, causing devastating injuries. Hammerheads detect prey with unique heads. Tiger sharks crush anything. Bull sharks are notoriously aggressive, and mako sharks' speed makes them relentless hunters. Prepare to uncover the raw, terrifying reality of the ocean's apex predators. In the summer of 2011, seasoned surfer Dave Bradshaw rode the waves off the coast of False Bay in South Africa. The date was August 10, 2011, and the day started like any other. The sun shone and the ocean was calm, inviting surfers to enjoy the perfect conditions. Dave, a 35-year-old local legend, had been surfing these waters for years. He knew the dangers that lurked beneath the surface, including the notorious great white sharks. These apex predators frequent the waters around South Africa, especially near False Bay. Great whites could grow up to 6 meters long and were famous for their powerful jaws and razor-sharp teeth. Dave arrived at the beach early that morning, eager to catch the best waves. He met up with his friends, Mark, a construction worker, Ben, a lifeguard, and Sarah, a nurse. They were all experienced surfers and shared a deep love for the ocean. The group chatted and joked as they prepared their gear, the excitement palpable. The ocean was alive with energy, and the waves were perfect. Dave paddled out, feeling the familiar adrenaline rush as he caught his first wave. The water was cool and refreshing, and he felt at peace as he rode the waves. His friends joined him, and together they spent hours surfing, laughing, and enjoying the beauty of the ocean. As the day went on, more surfers arrived, and the beach became crowded with sunbathers and families enjoying the summer day. Dave decided to take a break and rest on the beach. He watched the waves, feeling grateful for the simple joys of life. Great white sharks were always a concern for surfers in South Africa. These powerful predators were known to hunt seals and other marine life in the area. Attacks on humans were rare but not unheard of. Dave and his friends were always cautious, but the thrill of surfing often outweighed the risks. The tide began to change by mid-afternoon, and the waves grew even more significant. Dave couldn't resist the ocean's call and returned for one last session. His friends followed, eager to make the most of the perfect conditions. As they paddled out, the water seemed different. There was an eerie calmness, and the usual chatter of seabirds had quieted. Dave shrugged it off, focusing on the waves ahead. He caught a massive wave, riding it with skill and precision. The thrill of the ride filled him with joy, and he felt invincible. But beneath the surface, a massive great white is silently watching. It moved with stealth and precision, its eyes locked on Dave. The commotion and the silhouettes of the surfers above drew the predator. Suddenly, the shark struck. Dave felt a tremendous force as the shark's powerful jaws clamped down on his arm. The pain was immediate and excruciating, unlike anything he had ever felt. The shark's teeth tore through flesh and bone, and blood clouded the water around him. Dave's instincts kicked in. Despite the pain and shock, he fought back with everything he had. He punched and kicked at the shark, trying to free himself from its grip. Seeing the attack, his friends paddled towards him, shouting and splashing to distract the predator. The shark's grip was relentless. Its jaws locked onto Dave's arm. He could feel the bones cracking under the presence of the sheer power of the great white's bite overwhelmed him. He used his free hand to gouge at the shark's eye, hoping to cause enough pain to make it release him. The shark shook its head violently, trying to drag him deeper into the water. The water around them churned with blood and foam, and the chaos attracted other surfers who quickly paddled over to help. Mark reached Dave first, grabbing him and pulling with all his strength. Ben and Sarah formed a barrier, using their boards to push against the shark and keep it at bay. For a moment, it seemed like they might lose the fight. The shark's tail thrashed, creating waves that made it challenging to keep their balance. But Dave's friends' combined effort began to pay off. The shark, disoriented by the splashing and resistance, loosened its grip just enough for Dave to free his arm. The damage was severe. Dave's arm was mangled, the flesh torn, and the bones shattered. He was losing blood quickly, and the pain was overwhelming. Mark held on to him, keeping him afloat while Ben and Sarah continued to fend off the shark. They paddled furiously towards the shore, their hearts pounding with fear and adrenaline. The shark circled back, but the commotion and splashing seemed to deter it. They reached the shallows, and lifeguards and bystanders rushed to help pull Dave from the water. Once on the beach, the severity of Dave's injuries became apparent. His arm was nearly severed, and he was in danger of bleeding out. Using her nurse training, Sarah applied a makeshift tourniquet to slow the bleeding. The lifeguards called for an ambulance, and the crowd gathered, watching in shock and horror. Dave was rushed to the nearest hospital, where a team of surgeons worked tirelessly to save his life. Despite their efforts, they couldn't save his arm. The decision was made to amputate to prevent further complications and infection. The road to recovery was long and arduous. Dave faced immense physical and emotional challenges as he adjusted to life without his arm. He underwent numerous surgeries and months of rehabilitation. Mark, Ben, and Sarah visited him regularly, offering encouragement and helping him through the tough times. The surfing community organized fundraisers to help cover his medical expenses and to show their support. Despite the trauma, Dave was determined not to let the attack define him. He dedicated himself to rigorous therapy, learning to adapt to his new reality with unwavering resolve. Months later, equipped with a specially designed prosthetic, Dave returned to the water. The moment was symbolic and emotional, a blend of fear and triumph. As he paddled out with his friends, he felt the familiar rush of the waves beneath him. It was a profound testament to his resilience, a powerful reminder that he could reclaim his life and passion despite the odds. Once a place of terror, the ocean became a source of solace and strength. In the summer of 2009, a group of marine researchers set out to study orca behavior in the remote waters of the Pacific Northwest. The date was July 22, 2009. And the team was excited to gather data on these intelligent creatures. Their research site was Johnstone Strait, located off the coast of British Columbia, Canada. Known for its pristine environment and diverse marine life, Johnstone Strait was the perfect place for their study. The team consisted of Dr. Lucas Peterson, a marine biologist, Emily Drake, an oceanographer, Noah Grant, a field technician, and Claire Mitchell, a research assistant. They had spent months preparing for this expedition, which aimed to observe and document orca hunting techniques and social structures. Orcas, also known as killer whales, were apex predators for their intelligence, social behavior, and coordinated hunting strategies. The day began with the team launching their research vessel, the Ocean Quest, into the calm waters of Johnstone Strait. The sun was shining, and the air was crisp and clear. Spirits were high as they prepared their equipment and reviewed their objectives. They planned to use underwater cameras, hydrophones, and drones to capture data on the orcas. As they ventured deeper into the sound, the team spotted a pod of orcas in the distance. The black and white bodies of the orcas stood out against the blue water, and the team eagerly began their observations. Lucas and Emily set up the hydrophones to record the orcas' vocalizations, while Noah and Claire prepared the underwater cameras. The orcas were engaged in a feeding frenzy, hunting a school of salmon. The team watched in awe as the orcas used sophisticated techniques to corral and capture their prey. The orcas worked together, communicating with clicks and whistles, showcasing their incredible intelligence and coordination. Lucas, who had dedicated his life to studying marine mammals, was thrilled by the opportunity to witness such behavior firsthand. He took detailed notes, documenting every aspect of the hunt. Emily monitored the hydrophone recordings, fascinated by the complexity of the orcas' vocalizations. Noah and Claire captured stunning footage of the orcas underwater, their powerful bodies moving with grace and precision. The day progressed smoothly, and the team gathered valuable data. They felt a deep sense of accomplishment as they observed the orcas and learned more about their behavior. The ocean was a beautiful and mysterious place, and they were privileged to be a part of it. The team decided to wrap up their observations as the sun set and return to the research vessel. They were tired but elated by the success of their expedition. The orcas continued to hunt, their dorsal fins slicing through the water as they pursued the salmon. Unbeknownst to the researchers, the presence of humans had disturbed the orca pod. Feeling threatened by the intrusion, the orcas exhibited signs of aggression. Lucas was the first to notice the change in their behavior. The orcas' movements became increasingly erratic, and their vocalizations grew louder and more intense, echoing through the water with a palpable sense of unease. Suddenly, the orcas turned their attention toward the research vessel. The largest male, an imposing orca with a distinctive scar on its dorsal fin, led the charge. The team quickly realized the danger they were in. The orcas, typically curious and playful, had become aggressive. The first strike came without warning. The large male rammed the vessel's side, causing it to lurch violently. Equipment and researchers were thrown off balance. Lucas shouted for everyone to hold on and brace themselves. The orcas circled the vessel, their sleek bodies moving quickly and precisely. Emily scrambled to secure the hydrophones, but another orca struck the boat, sending her sprawling across the deck. Noah grabbed her arm and pulled her to safety as another impact rocked the vessel. The team was in chaos, their carefully planned expedition becoming a desperate fight for survival. The orcas coordinated their attacks, ramming the vessel from all sides. The boat's hull groaned under the repeated impacts, and water began to seep in through the cracks. Lucas ordered everyone to get their life jackets and prepare to abandon the vessel if necessary. Her hands shaking, Claire managed to grab the emergency flares and radio. She sent out a distress call, hoping someone would hear and come to their aid. The orcas continued their relentless assault, their powerful tails churning the water into a frothy maelstrom. Lucas, Emily, Noah, and Claire huddled together, clinging to the vessel's side. They knew they had to stay calm and think of a way to escape. The orcas' intelligence and coordination were terrifyingly apparent as they worked together to target the boat's vulnerable spots. Just as it seemed the vessel would be torn apart, Lucas had an idea. He remembered reading about orcas' sensitivity to specific frequencies. He rushed to the hydrophone setup and adjusted the frequency to a high-pitched tone, hoping it would repel the orcas. The sound emitted from the hydrophones pierced through the chaotic noise of the attack. The orcas hesitated, their movements becoming less aggressive. The team held their breath, praying the tactic would work. Slowly, the orcas began to retreat, the high-pitched sound disrupting their coordination. The team seized the moment and started the engines, steering the battered vessel away from the pod. The orcas followed for a short distance but eventually turned back, returning to their hunt. The team breathed a sigh of relief as they put distance between themselves and the pod. The Ocean Quest limped back to the shore, its hull damaged and the crew shaken. Once on land, they were met by a rescue team that had received their distress call. The researchers were treated for minor injuries and shock and were grateful to be alive. Lucas, Emily, Noah, and Claire reflected on their harrowing encounter in the following days. The data they had collected was invaluable, but the experience had changed them. They had witnessed the raw power and intelligence of the orcas firsthand, a reminder of the thin line between observer and participant in the natural world. Lucas presented their findings at a marine biology conference, highlighting the importance of respecting marine life and understanding the impact of human presence in their habitats. The story of their encounter spread, emphasizing the need for careful and respectful research practices. In the summer of 2007, Ethan Sawyer, an experienced underwater photographer, set out on a solo expedition to capture images of elusive marine life in the depths of the Atlantic Ocean. His destination was Glover's Harbor, located off the coast of Newfoundland, Canada. The date was July 12, 2007, and the day promised perfect conditions for deep-sea diving. Ethan had always been fascinated by the mysteries of the deep ocean. The vast, dark expanse held secrets that few had ever seen. He aimed to document the incredible biodiversity that thrived in these inhospitable depths. He meticulously prepared his equipment, a high-resolution camera, underwater lights, and a specially designed suit to withstand the immense pressure. The water around him grew colder and darker as he descended into the abyss. The surface light faded, leaving only the glow from his underwater lights to guide him. Ethan felt a sense of awe and anticipation. He had researched the area extensively and knew that the deep waters of the Atlantic were home to many strange and wondrous creatures, including the elusive giant squid. Giant squids, known scientifically as Architeuthis ducks, were one of the most mysterious creatures of the deep ocean. They could grow up to 43 feet long and had powerful tentacles lined with suction cups and sharp hooks. Humans rarely saw these creatures, and capturing an image of one would be a significant achievement for Ethan. As he ventured deeper, Ethan marveled at the eerie beauty around him. Strange bioluminescent organisms glowed in the darkness, creating a surreal underwater landscape. He carefully adjusted his camera, capturing images of the unique marine life. Each photograph was a glimpse into a world few had ever seen. Hours passed as Ethan continued his exploration. The solitude of the deep ocean was both calming and unnerving. He was alone in a vast, silent world, surrounded by creatures that had adapted to the harsh conditions of the deep. He felt a sense of connection to the ocean and its inhabitants, a reminder of the fragility and wonder of life. As he reached 2,000 feet, Ethan spotted movement in the distance. He steadied his camera and adjusted the lights, hoping to capture whatever was approaching. The figure came closer, and Ethan's heart raced with excitement. It was a giant squid, its enormous body moving gracefully through the water. The squid's eyes, each the size of a dinner plate, reflected the light from Ethan's equipment. Its tentacles undulated slowly, and its long, powerful arms reached out as if to explore the surrounding water. Ethan began to take photographs, capturing the rare encounter. The images were stunning, showing the squid in all its otherworldly glory. Ethan was so engrossed in his work that he failed to notice the subtle change in the squid's behavior. Curious initially, the creature became increasingly agitated by the lights and the photographer's presence. It moved closer, its tentacles extending toward Ethan with alarming speed. Without warning, the giant squid struck. One of its long tentacles wrapped around Ethan's leg, and the powerful suction cups latched onto his suit. The sudden force nearly knocked him off balance, and he struggled to free himself. The squid's grip was like iron, and its sharp hooks began to tear into his suit. Panic surged through Ethan as he realized the gravity of his situation. The squid's tentacles wrapped around his body, constricting his movements. His camera was ripped from his grasp, tumbling into the dark depths below. The lights flickered as the tentacles tightened, and the water around him filled with the sound of the struggle. Ethan fought back with every ounce of strength he had. He reached for his dive knife, slashing at the tentacles that held him. The squid's grip loosened slightly, but the creature was relentless. It pulled him deeper into the abyss, away from the relative safety of the open water. The pressure at this depth was immense, and Ethan's suit strained under the intense force. He felt the cold seep into his bones as he struggled against the squid's powerful embrace. The creature's eyes, cold and unfeeling, watched him intently as if studying its prey. In a desperate attempt to escape, Ethan activated his emergency ascent device. The sudden burst of air sent him rocketing upward, but the squid's tentacles still clung to him. The ascent was rapid and disorienting, and Ethan's vision blurred as the pressure changed. The squid, unable to keep up with the sudden movement, finally released him. Ethan's body ached, and his suit was damaged, but he was free. He continued his ascent, his lungs burning and his heart pounding. The journey to the surface felt endless, and he fought to stay conscious. Finally, after what seemed like an eternity, Ethan broke through the surface. He gasped for air, his body shaking from the ordeal. The research vessel, alerted by his emergency signal, sped toward him. The crew pulled him aboard, their faces a mix of relief and concern. Ethan collapsed on the deck, his mind reeling from the encounter. The giant squid had disappeared into the depths, leaving him with a story few would believe. The crew rushed to treat his injuries and stabilize his condition. His suit was torn, and his body was covered in welts from the squid's suction cups. The aftermath of the attack was both physical and emotional. Ethan's equipment was damaged, and many of his photographs were lost. However, the images he captured were enough to document the incredible encounter. He knew that he had been fortunate to survive. In the weeks that followed, Ethan's story spread through the marine research community. His photographs provided a rare glimpse into the life of the elusive giant squid. Despite the trauma of the attack, he remained passionate about his work and continued to explore the mysteries of the deep ocean. In the spring of 2005, renowned wildlife expert Travis Morgan was filming a documentary in the swamps of Louisiana. The date was May 14, 2005, and the location was the Atchafalaya Basin, a remote and dense swamp known for its diverse wildlife and rugged terrain. Travis was there to capture the essence of the bayou and its inhabitants, particularly the American alligator. Travis was well known for his fearless approach to wildlife. At 40, he had spent decades studying and filming dangerous animals worldwide. This documentary was his latest project to raise awareness about preserving and respecting natural habitats. His small film crew joined him: Jenna, the camera woman, Mike, the sound technician, and Laura, the producer. The day began early as the team navigated their small boat through the narrow waterways of Atchafalaya Basin. The air was thick with humidity, and the sounds of the swamp created a constant, eerie soundtrack. Birds called from the trees, insects buzzed, and the water rippled with unseen movements. American alligators were a common sight in these swamps. These giant reptiles could grow up to 15 feet long and were apex predators in their environment. Travis was fascinated by their power and stealth. He wanted to get up close to capture their behavior and educate viewers about their role in the ecosystem. The team spotted several alligators basking on the banks as the boat glided through the water. Travis explained their habits to the camera, his excitement palpable. He deeply respected these creatures and was determined to show them in their natural state, free from human interference. The morning passed smoothly as they filmed various scenes of the swamp. The sun was high in the sky, casting dappled light through the canopy of trees. Travis directed the crew precisely, ensuring they captured the best angles and sound. The footage was coming together beautifully, and spirits were high. Around midday, Travis ventured deeper into the swamp to find a vast alligator that locals had nicknamed Goliath. This alligator was rumored to be over 16 feet long and was rarely seen by humans. Travis wanted to capture footage of Goliath to add a dramatic element to the documentary. The team carefully navigated the dense foliage and murky waters. The deeper they went, the quieter it became. The air was heavy with anticipation as they searched for signs of the elusive Goliath. Travis's instincts told him they were close, and he kept his eyes peeled for any movement. As they rounded a bend in the waterway, they saw it. Goliath was partially submerged near the bank, his massive body blending almost seamlessly with the surroundings. Travis signaled Jenna to start filming while Mike and Laura ensured the sound and lighting were perfect. Travis slowly approached the alligator, speaking softly to the camera about these reptiles' incredible size and power. He wanted to get as close as possible to show the texture of Goliath's skin and the sharpness of his teeth. The alligator remained still, seemingly unaware of their presence. Suddenly, Goliath stirred. The enormous alligator's eyes locked onto Travis, and the calm instantly turned to chaos. Goliath charged at Travis with a mighty lunge, his jaws snapping with terrifying force. Travis tried to back away, but the alligator was too fast. The impact knocked Travis to the ground, and he felt the searing pain as Goliath's teeth sank into his leg. The crew screamed in horror, the camera shaking as Jenna tried to keep filming. Travis fought desperately, kicking at the alligator's snout and using his arms to push himself away. Goliath's grip tightened, and Travis could feel his strength waning. The water churned around them, turning red with blood. Mike and Laura grabbed sticks and poles, trying to pry the alligator off Travis. Jenna, still filming, called for help over the radio, her voice shaking with fear. Travis's world narrowed to the pain and the fight for survival. He remembered his training and tried to stay calm, focusing on getting free. He reached for his knife, which he always carried for emergencies. He swiftly slashed at Goliath's sensitive snout, hoping the alligator would release him. The tactic worked. Goliath let go, and Travis scrambled to his feet, blood pouring from his leg. The crew helped him back to the boat, their faces pale and eyes wide with shock. They sped away from the scene, leaving Goliath behind. Travis's leg was severely injured, but his immediate concern was getting to safety. Once back on the main waterway, Laura applied first aid to Travis's leg, using their emergency kit to stop the bleeding. They radioed for medical assistance and made their way to the nearest dock. The journey felt endless, and the pain in Travis's leg was a constant reminder of the close call. At the dock, an ambulance awaited them. Travis was rushed to the hospital, where doctors worked to repair the damage. The alligator's bite had caused severe tissue damage, and he needed surgery to save his leg. The experience was harrowing, and the recovery process would be long and painful. In the weeks that followed, Travis reflected on the attack. The footage captured by Jenna was both horrifying and powerful. It showed the raw power of Goliath and the dangers inherent in working with wild animals. Travis decided to include the footage in his documentary, not to sensationalize the event, but to educate people about the reality of these encounters. Travis's documentary and attack footage were released to critical acclaim. It sparked discussions about wildlife safety and conservation, and his message reached a broad audience. He continued his work with renewed passion, forever changed by the nightmare he had survived in the swamps of Louisiana. In the summer of 2003, a beachgoer named Liam Connors was enjoying a peaceful swim at Tampa Bay on the sunny coast of Florida. The date was July 15, 2003, and the day was perfect for a beach outing. The sky was clear, the ocean calm, and the warm sand inviting. Tampa Bay was a popular spot for locals and tourists, known for its beautiful shoreline and vibrant marine life. Liam, a 28-year-old graphic designer, had taken the day off to relax and unwind. He arrived at the beach early in the morning, finding a good spot near the water to set up his towel and umbrella. The beach was already buzzing with families, groups of friends, and solo sunbathers, all eager to soak up the summer sun. As the day progressed, Liam spent his time swimming, sunbathing, and reading a book he had brought. He loved the ocean and often spent weekends exploring different coast beaches. Tampa Bay was one of his favorites because of its clear water and abundant sea life. Stingrays were a common sight in these waters. These flat, disc-shaped creatures were known for their graceful swimming and ability to blend into the sandy ocean floor. Stingrays were generally not aggressive, but if threatened or stepped on, they could defend themselves with a sharp, venomous barb on their tails. Liam was aware of the presence of stingrays and always exercised caution while wading through the water. He had heard stories about painful stings and the importance of the stingray shuffle, dragging one's feet along the sandy bottom to avoid stepping directly on a stingray. Around noon, Liam decided to take another swim to cool off. He waded into the shallow water, the calm waves lapping at his legs. The ocean was clear, and he saw small fish darting around his feet. He walked carefully, mindful of the stingrays that might be hidden in the sand. Liam swam out a bit farther, enjoying the refreshing feel of the water. The beach was lively, with children playing, seagulls calling, and waves crashing gently on the shore. He floated on his back, staring at the blue sky, feeling entirely at peace. As he returned to the shore, Liam felt a sudden, sharp pain in his foot. He instinctively jerked his leg up, thinking he had stepped on a sharp rock. But the pain intensified rapidly, and he realized something was very wrong. He looked down and saw the tail of a stingray disappearing into the sandy bottom. The pain was immediate and excruciating. Liam's heart raced as he stumbled towards the shore, trying to keep his balance. The stingray's barb had punctured his foot and the venom spread quickly. Each step was agony, and he felt as though his entire leg was on fire. When Liam reached the shallow water, he gasped in pain and called out for help, attracting the attention of nearby beachgoers. A lifeguard on duty, Rachel, saw Liam struggling and sprinted towards him. She quickly assessed the situation and called for backup. Rachel helped Liam to a nearby lifeguard station, where they could better assess the injury. The puncture wound was bleeding profusely, and Liam's foot was swelling rapidly. The venom caused intense throbbing pain, and he felt dizzy and nauseous. Rachel worked quickly to clean the wound and applied a temporary bandage to slow the bleeding. An ambulance arrived within minutes, and the paramedics took over. They relieved pain and immobilized Liam's foot before rushing him to the nearest hospital. The ride was a blur of pain and fear, but the paramedics' calm reassurances helped keep him from panicking. At the hospital, doctors examined the wound and confirmed that the stingray's barb had broken off in Liam's foot. The venom was causing severe pain and inflammation, and immediate surgery was required to remove the barb and clean the wound thoroughly. Liam was prepped for surgery, his mind racing about the day's unexpected turn. The surgery was successful, but the road to recovery was long and arduous. Liam spent several days in the hospital, where he received antibiotics to prevent infection and medication to manage the pain. The doctors explained that while stingray stings were rarely fatal, they could cause significant tissue damage and long-term complications if not treated promptly. Liam's recovery continued at home, where he faced weeks of rest and physical therapy. The pain subsided gradually, but he struggled with mobility and the fear of returning to the water. His friends and family provided much-needed support, helping him through the difficult days. Liam eventually returned to the water, cautious but determined. He continued to swim and explore the beaches he loved, always mindful of the creatures that shared the ocean with him. His experience had changed him, but it also deepened his appreciation for the beauty and power of the natural world. In the summer of 2001, a group of friends set sail on a sunny morning in the Mediterranean Sea, near the island of Mallorca, located off the coast of Spain. The date was August 5, 2001, and the day promised perfect sailing weather. The sea was calm and the sky was clear, making it an ideal day for an adventure. The group consisted of Alex, an avid sailor, Sophie, a travel writer, Tom, a teacher, and Mia, a nurse. They had rented a sailboat for a week-long vacation, eager to explore the beautiful waters of the Mediterranean. They planned to sail around Mallorca, stopping to swim and snorkel in the crystal-clear waters. As they sailed away from the marina, the group chatted excitedly about their plans for the day. They had brought a picnic and snorkeling gear, looking forward to a day of relaxation and fun. The boat glided smoothly over the water, and the gentle breeze filled the sails. By mid-morning, they reached a secluded cove surrounded by rocky cliffs and pristine beaches. The water was a stunning shade of blue and inviting. They anchored the boat and prepared to swim. Alex and Tom were the first to dive in, followed by Sophie and Mia. The cool water was refreshing, and they felt a sense of freedom as they swam and explored the cove. Box jellyfish, scientifically known as Chironex fleckeri, are uncommon in these waters, but can occasionally drift with the currents. Nearly transparent, they are almost invisible in the water. Their tentacles contain venomous stingers that can cause intense pain, paralysis, and even death. The friends were unaware of the danger lurking nearby as they laughed and swam, enjoying their day. The cove seemed like a paradise, and they felt lucky to have found such a beautiful spot. Sophie took out her waterproof camera, capturing photos of the stunning scenery and her friends' smiling faces. Around noon, they decided to take a break and have lunch on the boat. They climbed back aboard, drying off in the warm sun. The picnic spread included sandwiches, fruit, and cold drinks. They ate and chatted, planning the rest of their week and sharing stories. After lunch, Mia suggested they go for another swim before continuing their sail. The group agreed, eager to make the most of the perfect weather. They donned their snorkeling gear and slipped back into the water, excited to explore the underwater world. They marveled at the vibrant marine life as they swam further from the boat. Colorful fish darted around them, and the sunlight filtered through the water, creating a magical effect. They were so engrossed in their exploration that they didn't notice the jellyfish drifting closer. The first sting came out of nowhere. Alex felt a sudden sharp pain in his leg and saw a box of jellyfish's tentacles wrapped around it. He tried to pull away, but the pain intensified, spreading through his body. He yelled in pain, alerting the others. Panic set in as the friends realized what was happening. Sophie, who was closest to Alex, swam towards him, only to feel the sting of another jellyfish on her arm. The pain was immediate and excruciating, like being burned by a hot iron. She tried to pull the tentacles off, but they clung tightly to her skin. Tom and Mia, seeing their friends in distress, swam towards them to help. Tom felt a sharp sting on his back, and the venom quickly spread through his body, causing intense pain and muscle spasms. Mia, a trained nurse, knew the seriousness of the situation and tried to keep calm. She felt a sting on her leg but focused on helping her friends. The water around them became a scene of chaos and pain. The box jellyfish were nearly invisible, making it difficult to avoid their stings. The venom caused severe pain, paralysis, and difficulty breathing. The friends struggled to stay afloat, their movements becoming sluggish and uncoordinated. Mia grabbed Alex, barely conscious of the pain, and started swimming toward the boat. Fighting the agony in his back, Tom did the same with Sophie. Every stroke was excruciating, but they knew they had to escape the water quickly. Reaching the boat felt like an eternity. The jellyfish seemed everywhere, and each sting brought new waves of pain. Mia managed to get Alex onto the ladder, and he climbed aboard with the last of his strength. She turned to help Tom and Sophie, struggling to stay above water. Tom pushed Sophie towards the boat, ignoring the pain that racked his body. Mia grabbed Sophie's arm and pulled her onto the ladder. Tom followed, and they all made it onto the boat with a final effort. They collapsed on the deck, gasping for air and writhing in pain. Despite her pain, Mia sprang into action. She knew they needed medical help immediately. She grabbed the first aid kit and began treating the stings as best as possible, applying vinegar to neutralize the venom and bandaging the wounds. She instructed Alex to radio for help, giving their location and describing the severity of their condition. The minutes that followed were agonizing. The pain from the stings was overwhelming, and the venom caused muscle cramps and difficulty breathing. They did their best to stay conscious and support each other, but fear and panic were palpable. The Coast Guard responded quickly to their distress call. A rescue boat arrived within 20 minutes, and paramedics rushed aboard to provide medical assistance. The friends were given pain relief and oxygen and were carefully transferred to the rescue boat. The Coast Guard crew worked efficiently, stabilizing their conditions and assuring them they would be okay. The journey to the nearest hospital felt like a blur. The paramedics monitored their vital signs and continued to administer pain relief. The friends held on to each other, their faces pale and bodies trembling from the venom. The pain was still intense, but the fear of not knowing if they would survive was even worse. The venom had caused significant damage, and the recovery process was slow and painful. The friends stayed in the hospital, supporting each other and sharing their fears and hopes. The bond between them grew stronger as they faced the ordeal together. They eventually returned to the Mediterranean, not as victims but as survivors. They continued to sail and explore the beautiful waters, always mindful of the hidden dangers that lurked beneath the surface. Their experience had taught them valuable lessons about the ocean and its inhabitants, lessons they would carry with them for the rest of their lives.